Welcome to True to Horse Training Center. Today I'm setting up this episode for True to Horse because with magic editing I could have edited the interviews together, but I felt like I would have lost some of the emotion and everything of the interview when I interviewed mainly Tom Seay of Best of America by Horseback. Okay.
There's not a person on earth lacking more confidence, self-confidence in me. I'm scared to death. I'm telling you, she'll tell you before I do an interview. I'm a wreck.
Well, my job is to make you feel comfortable.
That's what I tell people. That ain't going to work.
This is the best part of the interview. Oh, don't tell me. How much are you on the camera in yours? Oh, good.
Oh, we're doing a Tiny Tim. Oh, honey, we're doing a Tiny Tim.
What does that mean?
In a short version, years ago, we had somebody came out of the TV station to do advertising for a circus, some type, and they had Tiny Tim. Part of the deal was we had to interview Tiny Tim. And so I was at a younger age, and TV goes to your head just a teeny bit sometimes.
Oh.
And I didn't think I needed to interview Tiny Tim. Who's he? He's a clown, you know. And so I interviewed Tiny Tim, and as we finished the interview, she walked away from the camera, and I don't know whether she intentionally left it on or didn't intentionally, whatever. And so I was sure we were off camera, and I said, hey, when you're at home, do you sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips in the shower? He said, no, I sing, and he named the classics. And I said, I knew just enough about music to know this is serious stuff. But I thought it might have been a joke, so I said, why don't you sing something for me? And he opened his mouth and he sang, and as my wife will tell you, he had the most beautiful baritone voice you've ever heard in your life. Almost like on the Andy Griffith show, that guy, or on the Red Skelton show, that guy.
Yeah.
And I was just absolutely in shock. And I said, why didn't anybody know this?
Trained in the classical violin, playing the symphony.
But he couldn't pay the rent and get enough to eat being in the symphony. So he had to spend his life as a clown.
Yeah, that's a shame. The talent
jokes
they
and
could
that type
have.
of thing to make a living. And so people really never knew his enormous talent. And so I made it a point never ever to judge anyone again. And remember that. So after an interview, we'll say Tiny Tim, or we're going to do a Tiny Tim, we'll let the cameras continue to roll. And in those moments, the people relaxed and sit back and said, you know, I should have told you about the time my granddaddy did this or that.
Genuine.
Those gold nuggets come out.
You know, we found that out, just on our little show. After we turn the camera up, there's the best, the talking point. Sure, I do my horse training point, but I want to try and improve people's lives too, and have them take charge of their life and realize, like you said about that fella, to me, everybody in this world is just as special as the next. No matter what money, no matter what race, no matter what color, no matter whatever, I don't care who you want to go to sleep with. As long as you're a good person, and treat people right, it shouldn't bother anybody else.
There was a man, I think we were doing a show in Pennsylvania years ago. There was a guy, you could tell he was just old, almost as old as us.
Oh God, that's terrible.
I meant combined.
Oh, hey, that makes me feel better. Whew, had me scared there for a minute.
He was leaning up against the wall, and people started to do dinner, and I said, buddy, come on, it's my show, I'm going to take you up front of the line. He said, no, I'll just wait a little while. My back bothers me, and I said, you got back problems? I don't know, she turned the camera on, but it was sort of one of these Tiny Tim moments, and I said, what's wrong? Well, I've had legs broken, knees replaced, back surgeries, and he just listed this whole thing. You want to know why he's still alive. All this stuff. This old man. And I said, you still ride?
So he sold his horse because of the ride. He sold his horse. down, he was on a ride, but he had just gotten a new horse and got back into riding.
His wife made him get another horse because it changed his life so much when he lost the horse.
Impressed.
But as he leaned against that little stone wall, and I don't remember the place, but I think it was Pennsylvania somewhere. But he said, you know, and here comes that golden moment. He said, when I'm riding a horse, I'm a cowboy. When I'm not riding a horse, I'm just an old man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
Yep.
wow. You know,
I can relate to that one.
And every now and then when my back's hurting me or something, I'm thinking, we did Mexico to Canada, there was a 91-year-old man with a broken leg. And I said to him, I said, Nate, don't you think we ought to wait a little while? You're 91, you got a broken leg. And he said, how much longer do you think I ought to wait? he's 95 or 98 years old, and he's in therapeutic riding. So we sat down, and I said, and I tried to speak up because, you know, they don't hear well at that age. I understand you enjoy therapeutic riding. Are they good to you? I said, what? He said, the therapeutic riding, are they good to you? There was some profanity involved. He said, son, I teach therapeutic riding. I thought he was so sorry. So you got to be a little careful.
Oh yeah. Okay. Are you relaxed now?
I'm relaxing.
Okay. Welcome back, True to Horsemanship. We are here at Milky Way Farms, and I got a privilege set next to me, Tom Seay. I said that right. You might recognize him, Best of America from Horseback on RFD TV. Tom, it's been a pleasure the last 2 days.
It's a pleasure seeing you again.
There you go.
In fact, you make me feel a little nervous when I was riding out today on a horse I'd never been on,
yeah.
And you're on a horse just riding along perfectly. You can intimidate us quite a bit. Made me feel bad.
Oh, well, I would say I'm sorry, but I might be lying. But how long have you been on the air now? About 10 years, haven't it?
I think we've been on RFD 8.5 years, one of the older programs now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been on there just about, because RFD I think it's been on about maybe 11 at the most.
10 or 11.
So, and I'm going to ask this question. What's the biggest change you've seen in the horse business?
Part of it's the economy. A lot of it is people get trapped in their jobs and a routine that isn't fulfilling in any way. The way our society lives now with internet and texting, there's not a lot of communication with neighbors doing family picnics or the
face-to-face
civic clubs and that type of thing. And so when you remove that, people have a feeling of loss and they're not as connected. Horse people were able to overcome that because they can take their horse and they can go riding. And anybody that has a horse trailer and a truck that'll run at least second or third gear,
at least,
can go anywhere that John Wayne went, anywhere that the cattle drives were, anywhere in parks all over America, and they can go see the most beautiful parts of this country, even though they're just average folks like us. So they can do extraordinary things. And often, if you watch, and cars are going down the road and you're riding a horse or watching people ride horses, you can see people pointing from the windows of the car, and to them, the guys are Roy Rogers or John Wayne, and the gals are Elizabeth Taylor. And I've always noticed that, and they're always saying in the cars, I wish I was on a horse like that. And you may be saying my horse is just kind of a cheap old backyard horse.
Yeah.
Not to them. And so the horse people will feed the economy because of the traveling. They will enhance their lives. They will enrich other people's lives. And so the horse community is truly, I'm not talking about the elite Olympic style riders. I'm talking the average folks.
That is the backbone of the horse industry.
That is the backbone.
So what got you on the journey of the Best of America on horseback?
Short version, I rode my horse from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Went through 81 cities and towns. CNN spent a month with me. The French made a television documentary about it. It was a big hit in Europe. And all of a sudden, so poor mountain boy from home that likes to go barefooted, ain't he something? So we did that ride, and I wanted to have a reunion of some of my riders. We sent off a little tape to RFD TV, and they said, can you do a whole show? Well, I don't know, we'll try. Can you do 13 shows? Can you do 26 shows? And we've aired over 1,200 times now, and it's not about me, it's about average folks riding horses.
That's what I think. One thing I've saw change just in humanity is we have gotten, instead of that concept of what you just said, we've gotten this concept about what about me? Well, the thing of it is, if you start thinking too much about me, you're going to lose you because you're so caught up in it. And I mean, to me, there's a big picture out there that because of, like you said earlier, us not communicating face to face, and that's one thing with horse people, you know, especially like what you have going on. You're riding with a bunch of people, so you are communicating face to face, and we're losing that.
I may have been criticized a little bit today. I got off the trail ride midway to come do a business meeting with somebody that was waiting. Very important person. So I went to meet with them. On the way in, there was a little girl, 5, maybe 6 years old, and she just wanted to come pet a horse, so her mother and her grandmother brought her. Due to health reasons, they lost their home, lost their jobs, down to nothing. But their little girl wanted to go see a horse, and they understood that there was a trail ride out. You can come see people, and maybe she could see a horse. Wasn't any charge. I thought they were going to just adopt that child and keep her, and the parents and the mama and the grandmother were here, and to watch people pour their hearts out, not knowing the story. That was the great part. Let me show you my horse. You want to ride this horse? You want to ride? And she was the queen of the barn. She was Cinderella. She was capturing every cowboy, like some of these gals around here husband hunting.
Starting young.
Starting young.
You know, that's one thing. I made a comment to a certain person I still look up to him, and if I said his name, everybody would know him in the horse world. But if we can make an impact on somebody's life, sometimes with just that simple gesture you gave that young lady, and hopefully it will stick with her, and in time, when she gets older, she's going to try to pay it forward somehow, some other. And, you know, we need to get that empathy back. You know, where we start, like what you did with that young lady, you know, that's how we get it started. That's how we teach empathy to the kids, show them it, you know.
You got to help me with something.
Yes, sir.
And I confess I don't know all of the background, and maybe even your regular viewers may not know. How did you get into this deal?
In the horse business? Now, I might tear up.
Let's do.
Because of a blind-eyed little Shetland pony. It was a stud. Came home shaggy, backseat of a Buick. Dad clipped him. We trimmed his feet. He grabbed me by the seat of pants, threw me on that pony. It wasn't broke on a clothesline rope, actually. Now we call it a lunge line, but it's a clothesline rope. And Dad had a sort of sick sense of humor. So he wanted to see that pony buck. I don't have no bridle. I don't have nothing. I'm riding a pony without nothing. But I was grinning. I was like Roy Rogers, you know. There you go. I had an idol. I'm like that. And that pony, I can. Why did you ask that? Everything I got today, I can give it to that pony. Even my slogan, "True to the horse, it'll be true to you." Move that hip came from that little ornery stud pony, because when I rode with other horses, that little booger didn't want to move. So instead of trying to make him go forward, I learned pick up that nose and move that hip. And I'm still 7 years old. I used to wet the grass, see how long slide marks I can get. Of course, I get home trouble when Dad get home. But my granddad one day came, just real quick. My granddad came over one day and said, "Davey, you keep being good to that pony, it'll be good to you." So through the years, that stuck. Everybody keep asking me, what do you call what you do? I'm on the fence. I'm not really natural horsemanship. I do my own thing. You know, they say, do you study on so? I said, no, the horse taught me everything pretty much. And I studied under Mr. Smith Pot in time, and I rode horses for horse traders that came from the Selborne. So finally, he said, okay, we need a label. I'm thinking what my grandfather said. I said, okay, this is it. True to the horse, that'll be true to you. But I added one more part to it, and I use it in all my sayings. But first and foremost, be true to yourself.
When I was talking about that little girl, I was it was getting me. I watched her eyes change. And I said, there's another story buried deep down inside, and I did not know what it was.
Yeah.
But people who love horses, there's a story deep inside that drives you.
It always is.
And my grandfather was a deaf mute, and he had horses, and the way he trained his horses, he walked out to the edge of the field, he clapped his hands to get the sound, and everything after that was hand signals. And never saw a whip, and never saw a chain, never saw a twitch. It was that communication between him and his horse. And you and that pony, it's a silent communication that...
Yeah.
And we had a gal that was on her trail ride today. It was the first time she had a horse. Beautiful horse. Big old quarter horse, well fed, you know. So we use our skimpy horses. We push them in the back. And I watched her when she was leaving this morning. She said, she's a little nervous. She's a little nervous. She hadn't been out, didn't know how this was going to go. And about midway through the ride, when I was still riding with them, I said, are you the same person I saw this morning? Because she's on her horse and she's turning around, talking to people and carrying on. Once you get that, I call it dancing with the horse.
Yeah.
You know the horse knows you. And by the way, we made a little turn on that trail ride today, and that was my decision. When we got to that hill, I was thinking, there's 2 or 3 people on this ride that may not be comfortable, and I might have been one of them. And I'm on a strange horse with a small saddle, and I said, this is not going to work right. And I looked at that hill, and I looked around, and I could see some people's faces like, I think I can. So I said to Jeremy, I said, let's just go sideways and ease on down that hill. We can do this again tomorrow if you want. And a lot of people don't speak up. But when I was watching that gal today, that transformation is beautiful. Yeah, it is. When you learn that pony, you just ride them.
I deal with a lot of people, of course, that's had problems, and everything. But one of my greatest, I'm not one, I'm going to get flack on this. The green rider and green horse thing. My theory on that, if that person is willing to put the time and energy working with that green horse, they will be so far advanced in their horsemanship, then that person, if they went and bought a horse that was dead broke, and I've rode it for 10 years, because what's that horse taught them? Nothing. And there is a sense of accomplishment like you felt today. You can pan over to who we're talking about.
I wasn't singling her out. Did that work over?
Yeah, I think it would carry over to her too, but she enjoyed herself, and at the time, her horse was great. So it's all.
How come her horse is so much fatter and prettier than our horses? What's that deal there?
I don't know. Maybe it's because she likes feeding it more groceries.
I'm still from the old school. You throw a burlap sack on there and jump up and ride, and you use hay twine.
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
We might have to do it again.
Things keep going. Might have to. Well,
How
Tom,
long are you going to ride before we go?
Oh, my life? Until I'm dead. Until I can't do it no more. And by George, I'm in a wheelchair, if I have to build something where I can and get on that horse.
I've got to tell you, I've met you several times. We've never really had a chance to talk. And we just sat down.
Yeah, today's the first
time.
No
rehearsal, no questions ahead of time, which makes me a little bit nervous. But I've gotten to know you, quite a gentleman. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been here too.
Are you on my show right now, or mine?
You're on mine, I think.
You're at mine.
I know.
Which one of us says we'll be right back?
Oh, that's me.
I appreciate everything you do for so many people.
It's been fun. It's been 2 fun, great days. I got a privilege yesterday meeting a fellow over here. His name's John Carr. He's been around, I guess, a block, and I made sort of a halfway joke. There's not many of us left, and he just made a statement, which I found true. We both came up through some of the old ways, and he's finding out, like I've had through the years, you put a mixture of some of the new stuff to the old stuff, you got a good training schedule. So John, you'd like to give us some of your background in case some people don't know who you are?
Well, most people wouldn't know who I am, but I grew up in Montana, and when I was about 15 or 16, I had some sort of talent to ride bucking horses and rope calves and do a lot of rodeo things, and so my whole life was around horses and a lot of rodeo stock and training horses the rodeo way, so to speak. If they didn't buck, we thought it probably wasn't any good. And then I had a life-changing, I actually moved to Belize, Central America. I've lived there 37 years. And I have a lot of horses there. I have about 90 head of horses. And I have a round pen that saved my whole life and changed my life about breaking and messing with horses.
Yeah, a lot of the new stuff, you know, it's like everything else. And I think through the years, because it caught on probably about 20 years ago, natural horsemanship. Yeah. And through the years, some of the stuff, I see where it doesn't really work, but a lot of the stuff does. Yeah. What's, in your opinion, what's the biggest change in the horse industry, period? In general, I should say.
Well, in the horse industry, it's sort of interesting in that when we talk about, a lot of guys don't like to use the word horse whispering, so they use the word natural horsemanship, and that's what we're talking about. But even in the rodeo arena, guys used to fight their horses to get behind a bulldog and shoot, or a calf rope and shoot, and even those guys have all taken over there. You never see so many well-behaved horses, and it's a mixture of the same thing that David is talking about. We're not just going to manhandle these horses, and I'm the slave driver, and this horse is the slave. We're doing the thing together. We're partners on this deal, and I know what this horse wants because I know how to read him. My dad never read a horse. The horse had to do whatever my dad said, but there wasn't any reading about it.
So you rodeo back when old Larry was kicking around, Mayhan?
Yeah.
And he's still working.
Around.
Yeah, he's still around. He's in Texas now, in Oklahoma, back and forth. I hear.
Yeah.
But you know, people like you and all this give a lot of, and that's one thing in my philosophy with true to horsemanship. Try to set it up where the horse wants to.
Yeah.
Like trailer loading. I'm not going to put that horse in the trailer. At the end of the day, I might lead it in, you know, after it knows, but I want to get that horse where it's seeing the back of that trailer and it's going in.
Yeah.
And the same way everything, I want to try to set it up where to succeed.
Yeah.
And I try to set that even with my clients. I want them to succeed.
Yeah.
Instead of doing fancy rollbacks all in one day, I say, no, let's break it down so, you know, have fun with it and everything else. And I think that's one of the biggest changes I've seen.
Yeah.
You know.
Two things that have get down to the technical part is just the word pressure and release. Yeah. Understanding what 15 seconds means, or 20 seconds to a situation. If you're moving towards something and you notice that horse just backing off, I think it's a lot of times like courting a girl. If you have that awareness, if you're moving a little too fast, sometimes just wait just a little bit.
Just wait a second and
just
give
wait,
it to him.
and then that horse will come to you. And so sometimes 15 seconds, and then pressure and release. You apply a little pressure, and when you get response, don't continue the pressure.
Anyway, we was walking through the noodles, and I told her when as soon as that horse get ready to go to noodles, she wanted to tense up and grab her horse. I said, no, don't do it yet. Let that horse get through the noodles.
Yeah.
After a stride or so, and if the horse isn't calming down, then take control of the horse.
Yeah.
You know, and she couldn't believe the difference was, you know, just sometimes, as you know, you just gotta let the horse, and that's the big thing, that's the hard thing to teach people, is the timing. You know, when to do it and when not to. Because that fella, I'm sorry he got in trouble, he tried to one rein to move that hip on a horse today. Well, the horse hasn't been schooled on it.
No.
So all that horse did was get hyped up.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's going to say, well, he'll hear somebody like me say, you know, move that hip, get that horse disengaged. But you got to you got to school the horse on it first. You don't just go out there and let's do it today. And they say it don't work.
That's not a training ground.
No, that's not. You got to pick your battles.
I just like to say, I've just been on a 3-hour horse ride on a horse that you worked with for 2 weeks.
Which he didn't know. I was working on it just a few minutes ago.
I just learned that. But this was a really good horse. But the horse hadn't been ridden a lot lately, so he's a little bit high.
Yeah.
And so I had to be kind of careful. But this horse had a real soft mouth. His mouth was real tender, but you could just feel it was like 10 sticks of dynamite if it ever exploded. But it never exploded.
Yeah.
That's because he was trained. He can't help how much oats the horse has been getting compared to the riding he's getting.
No, I can't.
And the oats and riding ratio was a little bit off. That's really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit. But I could vouch. I don't know David that well, but I saw him. I was experienced for 3 hours, firsthand, one of his products, and it was a great product. I'd like to buy it again.
Yeah, but you like my Mustang, though. I saw that yesterday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you saw him, and
nice horse.
Yeah, he's good flesh. I am.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. And he handled the day pretty good.
Yeah.
He didn't like that Palomino. You know, and there's a lot of things with energy, too. And this is one thing that people have come and finally realized. But like today was a fine example with that Palomino.
Yeah.
Because you seen my Mustang last 2 days.
Yeah.
And he was ponying that other Mustang fine all day. He didn't care. But as soon as he got around that big Palomino, he didn't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, neither one of them Mustangs wanted nothing to do with it, because they're still a wild horse. To me, anytime you can get a Mustang laying down doing tricks, go up these steps, but there's a nature in that horse, it's always going to be wild. And that's why I sort of like him, you know.
His prey animal instincts take over.
Yeah, and you just got to learn to go with it and use it to your benefit.
Yeah.
Well, John, it's been nice talking to you.
It's my pleasure. Should your tours ever take you south of the border, and you come to Belize, Central America, right in the middle at a place called Banana Bank, you can look up on the internet. There's a website, and we do a lot of horse things down there.
What is your website?
BananaBank.com. BBL at BananaBank.com. You could find it, and it's a great place to go, especially in February. Temperature's going to be 80 degrees.
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
Anyway,
yeah,
it's been my
hopefully
pleasure.
it can. Same here.
And,
I mean, we can always spot a true horseman.
That's it.
You know. So thank you, and you'll be around tonight.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So thank you.
Thank you.
I always say, people, be true to a horse, and they'll be true to you. First and foremost, be true to yourself. To my kids and grandkids and a special person out there, watch Day Lake. God bless, take care.